welcome to the Hobart Commuter. I'm going to do something a bit different this evening. Oh, this is tricky. Will she let me past? Yeah. So, in my quest to learn more about riding in the city, so I have actually something to talk about, it leads me to seek out various forms of information. And recently I was directed to a book. So what I want to do this evening is do a book review, or at least talk about a book that I read. Now the book is called, just move on here so I can let the cars through. Thanks. The book is called The Art of Urban Cycling, Lessons from the Street. It's by Robert Hurst, who I think was or maybe still is, a bike messenger. He was a bike messenger in New York. I think he was a bike messenger in New York, and he's also got however many thousands of kilometers racked up in city cycling. It's a very, I'm just going to catch my breath and I'll come back. So yeah, it's a very accessible book, written in a kind of conversational style and cut through with a really nice amount of humour as well. And the guy really knows his stuff too. He starts off with talking about, he's got a lovely chapter to begin with about the history of bicycles, so how bicycles were invented and how the infrastructure was created and so on and so forth, and even about the birth of cars and how the birth of cars came from cyclists. So for example, if memory serves me correctly, he talks about Henry Ford being a bicycle mechanic. So the same people who are interested in kind of creating bicycles and making them more efficient were the same guys and who raced the bicycles. So there was obviously a big scene around bicycle racing. These guys, because of their passion for mechanics, their passion for speed, were kind of obviously entranced and taken with the motor car, and they became the ones who designed the better engines and who raced those cars around the tracks. He talks about the slide, so the drift. The first guy who learned to drift around a course. It's fascinating. The first chapter is excellent. Where am I going here? Stay straight. Wow, look at that. This is a new hotel. I've been away for a couple of weeks. They've just sort of unveiled the facade there. It's quite nice. Yeah, so obviously Henry Ford, obviously what he went on to do with the automobile, and then it goes through the, it's a very sort of American-centric book. He can't cover everything, obviously, so he keeps it to North America, rather. He talks about the destruction of the trams to the automotive industry and how that occurred. Really, really lovely overview. But the kind of central thesis of the book is challenging this philosophy of what's called vehicular, can't really say the word, vehicular cycling. So vehicle cycling, basically. Cyclists where you behave like a car on the road, much as I am now, and you follow all the rules. You behave like a car, as I said. And this is strict adherence to this kind of philosophy. And he wants to challenge this idea. So at one end of the spectrum, there is this idea that you behave like a car, and that's the way to create respect for a cyclist, and also a way to create safety for yourself because you're predictable in what you do. Let me just watch this guy for a second. Has he seen me? Yep. Okay, and at the other end of the spectrum, you've got what's called the invisible cyclist. So this is cycling as if you were invisible. So you don't behave, you don't follow any road rules, you just go through red lights, you move along sidewalks, you move through all those kinds of liminal spaces. The whole street's your own. It's as if you're invisible to everyone else and everyone else is invisible to you. So there's these two kind of ways of cycling, and he's kind of advocating to kind of move in between both according to the circumstances that you're presented with on the road. Now the book covers other aspects of urban cycling, everything from bicycle maintenance, how to fix punctures, to how to navigate road surfaces and the different types of ways in which you can ride in the road, so riding on the gutter and going across grates and that sort of thing. Which lane do I want to be in? The other right one. But there's two other things that two important points that Hurst stresses in the book, and that's responsibility and vigilance. So Hurst suggests that urban cycling doesn't lend itself to kind of casual, carefree cycling. So if you just want to go for a ride and take in the lovely air and that sort of stuff, that's not really what urban cycling is about. So he sort of advocates for basically vigilance at every point, and being aware and anticipating people pulling out in front of you or adverse circumstances on the bike at all times. So why, Hobart commuter, are you doing a vlog where you're talking to yourself and removing a huge part of your attention from the road? Of course, I suffer for my art, of course. So the other thing he talks about is responsibility, or blame, basically. Thank you. And that is something I've kind of discovered on my own, really. I mean, a lot of this book is common sense, but he basically says you can't blame anyone but yourself. You have to take full responsibility of everything you do. And you cannot blame them even if they make a mistake. Other people make a mistake on the road. So you have to be anticipating the mistakes. So even if something happens to you, it's your responsibility to anticipate something that might not be your fault. Now there's limits to that, obviously, because when you're going certain speeds through intersections and stuff like that, there's only so much leeway you can give people to do the wrong thing, I think. But it's a good mindset, this idea of always being vigilant and always being accountable for yourself. So taking full responsibility, not thinking, oh, okay, well, I'll just go through here because that person is going to yield for me. It's the law for them to yield for me. I have to kind of anticipate that they're not going to give way or yield. Fully expecting that. So yeah, that's in essence the book, and it's a really enjoyable read for anyone who enjoys urban cycling, I guess. And just as a final word on it, there's an epilogue in the book. It's only about a page and a half, 2 pages, and it's just it's wonderful. It kind of really distills the whole essence of the book. And there's a line in particular that got me. It says, urban cycling is not an exercise in rule following. It's an interactive performance art. Now, that's a little bit elite, I guess, in a sense. And elite's not the word I'm looking for. I can't quite get the word that I'm looking for there. But it sums it up, I think, really well. Cycling is not a science. It's definitely a flexible art. It's a performance in a lot of ways, and it's very interactive with the environment. So yeah, I'd strongly recommend that book for anyone who does enjoy cycling. And thank you again for watching. And of course, as always, I will see you guys next time.